Hello and welcome to day 3 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a free Cricut craft every day for 20 days. Today's project is this gorgeous traditional Santa Claus. There are loads of layers in this to add in all of his details, and he's a really fun paper craft project to make. Don't forget, the free SVG is only available for 24 hours. Check the link in the description to find out how to get him, but for now, let's get started on the project. If you haven't already registered your free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/CCC to do so. Once registered, check for an email from me with subject line Christmas Craft Countdown ticket information or any of the other emails from me that you've been sent throughout this countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down the page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you have missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/CCC bundle, which immediate immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown. All downloads come in zip folders. You need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Go into Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then click Browse to find the files on your computer or drag and drop them in. The download folder contains several different files. The first one is an assembly guide, and I recommend printing this out so you can have it next to you when you're making the Santa. There are 3 different file types for the cut file, a DXF, a PNG, and an SVG. The one you want for Cricut Design Space is the one called SVG Traditional Santa. It might show up as a Microsoft Edge document or an HTML document on your computer, but as long as you choose the one which starts SVG, that's the right one to use. I'll click and drag that in, and then it should appear like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see the layers and the pieces next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file type. So if that's the case, click cancel down here on the bottom right and try again and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. When it looks like this, click on upload. And then when that has uploaded, you can click it in your recent uploads to get the green border around the edge and then press Add to Canvas. Here's how our lovely little Santa looks when he's loaded, and you can see all of these layers down the right side of the screen. He is ready to cut out as is, but you might want to resize him. To resize him, make sure the padlock icon above the width and the height is closed. If it's open like this one currently is, click it to close it. It's a bit buggy. Sometimes you have to click it twice for it to actually close. Now that it's closed, it means that the width and the height change in proportion with each other. So for example, if I was to change the width to maybe 8 inches and press return on my keyboard, the height changes too. So everything stays looking exactly as it should and it doesn't end up looking squidged. This is probably a little bit too big though, as I've only got A4 card. So I think 7 inches wide is going to be a nice height for my standing Santa. When you're happy with how everything is looking, press Make It over on the top right, and that separates everything out into the individual colours. Change the paper size by going into the drop downs on the left, and you do need to do this for every single colour. You can click and drag the shapes around to move them about so that it will take up less cardstock. Just bear in mind you mustn't overlap anything. For example, if you did that and overlapped that little piece with the center, it's not going to cut out properly. So you need to make sure there's space around all of those pieces. So for example, I could move those bits around, and you can even rotate it with this little arrow. And that means I've now got all of this space which will be left over that I can use on another project another day. Go through each of the different colours and make them look exactly as you want them to. And when you're happy, click Continue to connect to your Cricut machine. Get everything cut out from your cardstock and then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here are all of my layers of my Santa cut out, and I've just laid them one on top of the other to check that I'm happy with the colours and that I haven't missed anything out. We're going to be sticking this together with a combination of glue and 3D foam squares. The glue I'm using is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like other glues can do. And I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. These have got really, really narrow tips on them to let you get the glue into all the tiny pieces really easily. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any will do, and they come in all different sizes and shapes. These ones are probably a little bit big for this project, so I'll cut them in half with a pair of scissors. As with all my layer designs, we want to start at the bottom and work upwards. So I'm going to move these layers apart so that we can get started. As I've already gone to the effort of putting everything in order, I'm going to try and keep it in a rough semblance of order when I'm moving the layers apart, because it'll mean that it's easier for me to put it all back together again as we're sticking if I keep things vaguely in the right order now. Just trying to pick up just that one bit of the body. We're now left with the bottom piece, which is this big bit of white, and also 3 little pieces which are going to get glued on top. So I'll start with those bits first and do them one at a time. So I'm going to get my glue, turn it upside down, and add a little bit of glue on the back. And then stick this into place and just line it up with what's already there and make sure it follows the edge of that white layer. I know it's a bit hard to see because I'm doing white on a white background, but once we get the next bit on, it'll start to pop a little bit better. That's my trumpet. And finally, for this bit, the candy cane. The next layer is this red one, which again has some little pieces, but we'll start with the red on top. So you'll see this will go over the top and it pretty much covers everything that's on there. I want to add a little bit of depth from this bottom layer, so I'm going to use my 3D foam squares on the back of this bit. I've cut my pads in half just with a pair of scissors. They cut pretty easily. And I'm going to start adding these around the edge. It's really cold in my craft room at the moment. I don't want to put the heating on, otherwise you'll hear the boiler going whir, whir, whir in the background. So I'm working with cold hands and my fingers are not quite moving as well as I would like them to. So please give me a little bit of grace if I am a little bit slower than normal. When you're adding your foam, you want to make sure you've got a nice amount around the edge like this, but also put some pieces in the middle. And that's because if there's nothing in the middle to hold it flat, your cardstock will dome downwards under the weight of itself, especially once we've got all the other layers stuck on top. So by adding some pieces in the middle, like I'm doing now, you get that nice level table almost for it to sit on. And it just means your overall finished design will look much neater and much more professional. Now that I've added my foam squares, I can peel the tops off to reveal all of that stickiness underneath. Then we need to put this onto the white bit, and I'm going to line up these edges and then gently drop the piece down. And that's so that if I hadn't quite lined it up right, I could pick it up and move it without damaging anything. And I haven't quite got that spot on, so let's give that a try. See how easily that came off because I hadn't put any of that pressure on it. I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to line it up at the top and see if that makes it better. It's hard to do with cold hands. There, that's much better. Okay, now I can push down to seal all of those pads. Next, we've got these little details to add. And we'll start with the yellow ribbon. And these are all glue pieces. So that just goes on there. And don't worry that it looks cut off, because it'll be covered up with the next layer. And then we've got the spinning top and the little bottom bit of that ball. And there we go. It's not actually a spinning top, it's a present. I just thought it looked like a spinning top with the triangle effect. There we go. Now you can see it's a present. The next bit to add is this layer to make the top of the sack, and this will be a glue layer. And stick it on top. You can use the head and the feet to line it up. There we go. And then next is the detail green, which makes the edge of that sack. It just gives it that lovely detail to make it look more realistic. And this is another glue layer. Okay, next we have a little bit of yellow which goes across the top of the sack to look like the ribbon around it. And once more, we're gluing it. Good, didn't quite stick that on very well, but never mind. And then next on top of that is the black layer, which makes up Santa's boots. And once again, this is another glue layer. Don't worry that we seem to be gluing quite a lot of them. There's still so much more to come that I didn't want this bottom bit to get too thick. Next, we have the buckles to go on the edge of his shoes. So one will go there, and then one is, think about there. I recommend referring to the design in Design Space just to doubly make sure that I'm putting these in the right place, because I can't quite remember, but I'm fairly sure this is correct. And of course, you'll have the assembly guide to work from when you do this. Okay, we've got Santa's hat, his little bauble for his hat. And I'm going to glue that one on so you can just about see where it goes on the edge of that green. Next, we're making up his legs with this solid red bit, which again is a glue layer. Lots of gluing in this one. It's still getting lots of nice depth in it though, just because we're using so many sheets of card that it automatically gets that depth effect. And then this one as well, the detail on those legs and the arm. Now we can add the little detail on his boots. I'm going to foam both of these on to give them a bit of depth. The one on the back foot probably should have been glued and tucked under there because it's coming out a bit, but I wanted to have that 3D effect, which is why we're doing it with the foam. Cool, right, we are rocketing through. Bring our other layers back in so we can see a little bit, and he's kind of going out of shot, isn't he? There we go. Gonna use a little bit of foam to put that arm of fluffy, furry coat on. Here we go. That's upside down. Let me try that again. There we go. And then this one is also going to be a foam layer. Just bear in mind that you don't want to put any foam just in that corner, otherwise you won't be able to get it over that bit of white. and push down to seal. And then we've got the dark bit of red, which is making up the detail around the edge of his coat. And as normal with detail layers, this is a glue layer. Right, next is the the fluff on his coat. And let's have a think. I think we can do this as a foam layer, just to give that fluff, that little bit of dimension up from the coat. Because if you think about it in real life, it would be deeper, it would come out more because of all of that lovely fluffiness that Santa is known for on his jacket. So it's a little bit fiddly to line up, but we got it. I'll do the belt next, which will both be glue layers. I'm going to cheat and go straight over there, like that. There. And then the little buckle, again, another glue layer. We've also got the little piece which goes here, this green bit, which is the handle of the sack that he's got on his back. Oh, that rhymed. It's the little things that amuse me. There. And nearly there now. We've got his arm. And I'm going to use glue for this one because we've already added the depth with the white piece. So if this one was foamed as well, it would be too far up and it wouldn't look right, especially because the bubble, fluffy bit, whatever you want to call it, on the edge of the hat is so low down in the layers. You don't want this to be any higher. And the same goes for the detail layer on top. Fab. Okay, we've got his hand, which will be glued on. There. And then to keep consistent with all the other layers, because we've used foam for all those other bits of white, so for this one on his arm, I'm going to use foam too. Perfect. And now we're onto the face. This is so many layers on its own. I'm not sure it really needs the foam because it's going to have so much natural dimension, being so many different shades. I think I've lost one of his eyebrows. There it is. Nope, that's one of them. It was that other one I found at the beginning and now it's gone again. I'll have to try and see if I can spot it. That's the problem with crafting with white bits of paper on a white background. We'll figure that out in a minute. For now, I'm going to go through all the layers of the face and glue them on. We're starting with this black piece. And the reason that we've cut this bit out of the black is so that we can have the eye holes through it in a few pieces' time. Well, actually, this piece's time. So you've got his face. So rather than having to stick on teeny tiny eyes and a teeny tiny mouth, we've done it with cutouts instead, which is much easier to stick together. Gosh, he looks quite creepy at the moment, doesn't he? The next one is the pinky layer for his rosy cheeks. There. And then we've got his beard. Gonna go on the top like that. Wondering if his beard should be out a little bit. I think I might actually do that. I'm going to add some foam for this layer. There he is. And then one more, which is the detail on top. There. Ooh, got a string of glue. Right, I've got one eyebrow here. Let's see if I can see the other one. Do a little sweep, see if I can feel it. No, I can only see one. So that string of glue is still there. Right, I'm going to add just the one that I have. And then if the other one turns up, I'll glue that on too. But if not, I don't think it really matters too much. It's just to give it that little bit of outline against the hat. But if you don't have it, if you've lost it like I have, or if you think it's just too little a piece, then you can leave off those eyebrows. I really don't know what I've done with that, but I'm sure as soon as I stop recording, I will find it, because that's normally how these things happen. But anyway, even without one of his eyebrows, here is our lovely Father Christmas, or Santa Claus, and he's all stuck together. He's really, really layered. If you turn around, there's so much deep depth and dimension, and he is looking very lovely. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this gorgeous traditional Santa Claus. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you tomorrow for day 4 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. Thank you for watching. Bye!